It's like our players are, finishing out their mulligan resolve for this round. And we'll give them some extra time at the start of the round here, as always. So that way they get the appropriate amount of time, since we have paused them a little bit in order to get the stream set up and get everyone situated in the feature match area. But we have some really cool deck lists here. We'll have Daryl on Tivit, and that'll be in the bottom left corner of your screen. That'll be seat 1. Hakeem in the top left, seat 2 once again, as he was last round on camera with Maryland. Then we'll have Reeson in the top right playing Wandering Minstrel. That's 5-color turbo ad nauseum deck, land-based. And then Marcus, who I believe was round 1, our round 1 pod winner on camera, running it back again here for, might have been our round 2 draw, but they'll be running it back here for Roger Thrasios. That'll be in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. So that's everybody here. I'm excited to see a lot of these decks stand out. Again, Tivit, haven't had a Tivit all day. And then Wandering Minstrel, Turbo Ad Nauseum. We've seen the threats from Roger Thrasios earlier in the day. And then Hakeem as well on Maryland. Haven't seen a lot of that deck. Hasn't been able to show itself in its fullest form, but the deck is very good, and I'm very excited to see that go. So in just a second, we'll have our players go ahead and get ready to start. And our players will start here as we have pregame action of Gemstone Caverns from Maryland. Hakeem in the top left corner of your screen. That'll be seat 2. Didn't see the Exile. But turn 1, we'll start with Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet from our Tivit player. Turn will pass. And a big turn here from Hakeem, as we see with the Gemstone Caverns. We're going to play a land, Lotus Petal and Mystic Remora, big fish. So that's going to be your start for Hakeem in turn 2. And then turn And it looks like turn 1 will just be tap land and pass from Reeson. Again, Turbo Ad Nauseum on the Wandering Minstrel. Turn 1 for our seat 4 player, bottom right hand corner of your screen, Roger and Thrasios will get out a Delighted Halfling and a Roger off of the Tropical Island. That's a Port of Carfell up there in the top right. It's just a tap land that taps and adds blue. And for 3 blue, black, tap, sacrifice, mill 4, return a creature to the battlefield tapped. And so go ahead and pass over Back to our seat 1 player, Daryl, on Tivit, and Daryl will play. Looks like maybe that might be a Tundra. Then we'll take a look at the card when our players are done looking there as well. Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet were the last plays. They're going to play Rev, Tithe Extractor from Jumpstart. Whenever you attack, target creature gains death touch on a turn. Whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage to a player, you make a treasure and look at the top of that card's library. That player's library, exile that card face down, and you can play that card as long as it's exiled. So we'll get the turn pass over to Hakeem. Hakeem will pay the 1 for the fish, keep that around another turn. And it'll go back over to Reeson in your top right corner, Wandering Minstrel, 5-color Turbo, Ad Nauseam. We're gonna land. Looks like that might be Polluted Delta. We'll see where that goes. Let's see what the play is. Just a pass, no Wandering Minstrel, leaving the fetch up. And we'll pass over to the bottom right-hand corner. Pass on over to Marcus on Roger Thrass. This will be tap land. Looks like Surveil land, looks like Hedge Maze. We'll tap the Tropical Island and the Delighted Halfling as we keep the Surveil on top, and here's a Thrasios on the stack. Still no non-creatures here for the fish. Oh, looks like a turn 2 lake. Could have drawn at least 1 from the Arcane Signet, but the rest of our players playing very patiently as the turn will be passed on over to our Tivit player, Daryl. And we'll draw for a turn. Rel being a 3/3 is a big point of damage here. So we'll see what this 3/3 will be able to do. Gives target creature death touch, and then, well, when you deal combat damage to a player, you make a treasure and can exile the top card of a player's library. So not a lot of blockers out here. Could be a good enabler, could be a good time to attack with the Rev. So we'll see where that ends up going. Maybe a little bit of talking. Maybe Hakeem trying to put out some reassurances. No, you don't have to hit me. Maybe Reeson with the same thing. But the ability to hit with this Rev is super important. So I think even taking a turn off of it there would be very shocking to me. As we're done fetching off the Polluted Delta, looks like a Underground Sea potentially. And here comes towards Hakeem. 1, 2, 3 down. We're going to make a treasure for the Tivit player. The Tivit player will look at the top card of Maryland's library, top left, exile it face down, and may play it as long as it's exiled. So just trying to figure out where to kind of make it clear that is there. Here's 2 mana for the Ancient Tomb, taking 2 damage. Here's a lot of mana. Here's a Tivit. And then Tivit will enter. And then each player is going to vote for evidence or bribery. For each evident vote, they will investigate. And for each bribery, Tivit will make a treasure. So it looks like Investigate was made by Tivit, because that looks like a completely separate token from the treasure token that's being used there. So let's see how much these players want to investigate. Looks like, I guess Tivit will be making the treasure. Just brought the clue token out because they knew the clue token would be picked a handful of times. So if I were to take a guess, that's probably every other player not named Tivit giving the Investigate, giving the clue token, and then our Tivit player, Daryl, choosing to give themselves a treasure. Here comes 2 mana. That Washi Tong, another new card. We've been talking about new cards from very recent releases. Lorwyn Eclipse giving us Hexing Squelcher, and Avatar giving us a handful of cards and commanders, and we got another good one in Washi Tong Librarian. Main phase Washi Tong. Maybe just to use up the mana now. Could flash it in on the end step, but maybe want to kind of leave, a little less the imagination here and get some good attackers in. If you're just joining us, we are in round 4 of our tournament coverage, MindBreak Magic cEDH event. And we're glad to have you here. Right now we are in turn number 3. Top right is the active player, Reeson Hold of Mop Top and Beardy, and they are fetching on the end step of our top left player, Hakeem, on Maryland, but we'll soon go to their turn. And here's the situation we got here. Our first seed is in the bottom left, and that is Tivit. That is Daryl on Tivit. Top left we have Maryland, Fey Ascendant. That's Hakeem piloting. We have Reeson currently offering the cut on his deck after the shuffle on Wandering Minstrel. That is a Undercity Sewers that Reeson does grab to put into play with the fetch land. So Surveil will keep that one on top. Go to their turn. Then in seat 4, bottom right hand corner, we have Marcus on Thrasios Tivit. So we'll get to see some good action from these players here. I wouldn't say we're starting slow. We're starting off with kind of a bang. Some of our players are able to play around this Mystic Remora that is sitting out on the field under Hakeem's board, under Maryland's board here. This Mystic Remora has not done a whole lot. It's kind of avoided being used at all, but the 2 mana still being offered on the age counters, cumulative upkeep by Hakeem. As it looks like Verdant Catacombs is the play from Reeson here. We'll see where he wants to go with it. Looks like Lion's Eye Diamond. Goodness. And we'll fetch with what I believe is that Verdant Catacombs. And let's go see what land Reeson here will fetch with. Would imagine something that adds red. As a 5-color deck, it wouldn't be super obscure to see a Taiga, but I would definitely say it's less likely. Maybe a Badlands, but it looks like it'll be a tropical island. So no red mana yet. No red mana yet for a breach. Maybe not manual breaching here, but potentially still trying to push the win. This is a turbo deck. 5-color ad nauseum is certainly a good strategy in order to be able to use. Wandering Minstrel, the commander of this deck in the top right corner, being played by Reeson, allows lands you control to enter untapped. And then at combat of your turn, if you have 5 or more towns, you make a 2/2, but that's not the relevant part here. It's mostly the lands being untapped, getting a lot of tap lands, surveil lands, and utility lands, and having the ability to have those coming untapped. I mean, even triomes and stuff like that, stuff of that nature, is super big. As the turn will be passed down to Marcus on Thrasios Roger. Wooded Foothills is the play for the turn, and they're going to fetch. Now, we've seen Marcus on camera earlier today, as I mentioned, and got to show a little bit of what the deck can do, but I know there's a lot to be desired there after, an interaction between Enduring Vitality and Kinnan was not able to seal the game. As sometimes they're just turbo players that are faster than you, but there's a lot of cool stuff in this list. Again, Enduring Vitality is very cool card. It looks like we're going to take the Wooded Foothills Fest for the Dryad Arbor. That's what it looks like to me. And of course, Washi Tong is going to grow. We'll get a +1/+1 counter and make Tivit draw a card, or Tivit player Daryl. And looks like Marcus here is going to be playing a Growing Rites of Itlamok. enchantment that when it enters, you look at the top 4 and you put a creature card from among them, put it in your hand, rest on bottom, and then if you have 4 or more creatures, you can flip it, and it becomes a cradle. So it looks like Hullbreaker Horror is the reveal off of Growing Rights of Itlimoc, the enchantment for our Roger Thrasios player. And it is going to be the beginning of the end step in which that Growing Rights will flip. Growing Rights will flip into basically a cradle. It's actually a better cradle because it can just tap for green with no creatures in play, or it can add green for each creature you control. So currently 4 mana available from Itlimoc, Cradle of the Sun, as his turn will be passed over to our Tivit player. And looks like maybe a Flooded Strand is the play for the land for turn. They're going to go ahead and crack. And this Tivit player's put in a lot of work. Big board state, big body board state here. Hakeem has only drawn 2 cards, or should have only drawn 2 cards. I guess I wasn't watching that closely. Off of the entire 2-turn cycle that Mystic Remora has been out, one from the Lion's Eye Diamond and one from Growing Rights of Itlimoc, both cards that have been casted in the last turn cycle. So paid off for paying for the cumulative upkeep for one more go round. And it looks like that'll be the Scrubland completing the trifecta of duels under the control of our Tivit player Daryl. We'll see where Daryl wants to go with that, what he's got in hand. Maybe he's got a tutor, maybe he's got a way to find something to win the game here. And Tivit Time Sieve lines are super interesting, super cool, and there are a super low amount of blockers already in play. So Time Sieve would be able to enable Tivit, because Tivit does care about entering the battlefield or dealing combat damage. No flyers or reachers sitting around here, so it almost seems like a free attack. And I think he'd be beside himself to not attack the ad nauseam player, but maybe he just doesn't know what that deck does. Wandering Minstrel is a little bit more obscure of a 5-color ad nauseam commander, but I wouldn't say any of them are particularly relevant in terms of where you think 5-color ad nauseam. You can just kind of play the card that fits you the most, and for a lot of people that just feels good. That just feels like enough. So we're going to send some damage over to Hakeem. Looks like the Rev will be going over to Hakeem. And we'll see who's about to take 6 damage from the Tivit, and who's going to take the 4 damage from the Washington. Both flyers, both hard to interact with, especially Tivit having Ward 3. It looks like we're voting. And it does look like Tivit is going over there at Reason, so that does track with chart here. Washington flying over to Thrasios Rogers' board, as with Rev in play, Tivit's going to be able to see 3 free cards and be able to cast them as long as they remain exile. So already a huge advantage engine early on in this game. I mean, a turn 3 Tivit is certainly a threat at the table. And looks like we got 3 treasures and 6 clue tokens and a Mystic Remora of their own. Daryl will play. And we'll just have to see what Hakeem wants to do about it. He's got another age counter on that Mystic Remora for his turn whenever it does go to him. But he'll go ahead and draw now for the Mystic Remora cast trigger. don't know how that'll be good here, what they're going to do, but here's 2 more mana from our Tivit player, and looks like he's going to channel Touch the Spirit Realm, likely on Tivit. And it looks like that'll go off without a hit, so more Tivit triggers. Some more treasures. Some more clues. So we're up to 6 treasures and looks like 9 clues to our Tivit player. Hakeem on his turn will say that's enough for the Mr. Gamora. Let's let that go away. Go to their turn. We got 3 mana available, 2 lands and a Lotus Petal. Missed a couple of land drops, so here's one now. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and fetch. And no one's got anything to say about that, so that will also go off. And we're going to finish resolving that land fetch, as it looks like Hakeem will end up getting a tropical island out of that exchange. And I'm not sure what the card that was played was, but looks like 2 mana for it, or at least it's kind of talking about what to do with this Lotus Petal. And talking about what's going on here. We'll see. Looks like that'll untap some lands here, so that might be able to tell us what card he's got. But as Hakeem will pass the turn on over to Reeson. Reeson will take his turn. Here is, I believe that's a Boseiju. And here's 2 mana. We'll make it 4. And I'm not sure what that is. That could be a culling ritual. That would be really good here, honestly, with all the treasures and clues. Can't crack them all. Could be the Final Fantasy art there, if you just give me a second. Yeah, that is in fact what that is. That is I believe that's a culling ritual there. So culling ritual on the stack will make about 1,000,000 mana. So we got at least 3 in the bottom right. Looks like 1 in the top left. LED will go in the top right from Reeson. It's like a Thrasios activation in response. Looks like a Force of Will will hit that culling ritual. We'll see what Reese wants to do here. Culling Ritual will enable him to do a whole lot if he's got some sort of ad nauseum or effect like that. Mass card draw effect. That's a good way to enable yourself playing these sort of turbo ad nauseum lists. Culling Ritual. I think he might be trying to convince a lot of people to fight over this Culling Ritual. Because the Culling Ritual doesn't hurt the fact that Tivit exists, but what it does do is hurt the rest of the board that Tivit has assembled. It might just be able to unlock the game here for Tivit, but looks like Force of Will, maybe. Some force effect from Hakim, post-exiling blue card. And Mr. Cremora not paid, so our Tivit player will draw a card there. Here goes some mana and an Ancient Tomb. And here's a Sink into Stupor, and we're going to return some cards, it looks like. Return some permanents. Now, like I said, this Culling Ritual is going to affect a lot of the board state, but it won't affect actually Tivit. So if you think that Reeson won't be able to assemble a win con here, a winning line, or it might be a Sink into Stupor returning the Culling Ritual to the hand. If you think that Reeson is not able to assemble a winning line here, I think you could just let the Culling Ritual resolve, honestly. Because it does give Reeson a ton of mana, but it only gives him green-black mana. And there's still the ability to cast Force of Will, you know, in another point. Now it looks like the stack will resolve, the Culling Ritual will get returned with Sink into Stupor. And with the green floating, we're going to cast, it looks like a Tutor. Should be Mystical Tutor. Or, correction, Worldly Tutor. And as Hakim will continue resolving after the Worldly Tutor, looks like that Worldly Tutor is going to go get Eternal Scourge. And it looks like we're going to continue on Reeson's turn here. And looks like Eternal Scourge will go to the top. And that'll be all for Reeson's turn, it looks like. Yep, and Reeson will go ahead and pass the turn. So he'll go over to Marcus, unlocking his second Cradle, Growing Rites of Itlamok flip card, Itlamok Cradle of the Sun. That unlocks 4 mana, so 8 mana total available, 9 mana, Delighted Halfling and Dryad Arbor. looks like we got a couple of plays up in the hand I'll be able to fix, but we're going to go ahead and start with 4 mana here. Now, at Lamont Cradle the Sun will tap for 4, and we got 7 mana total in the pool. We'll see what's going to go on here. Here's a Hullbreaker Horror. A Hullbreaker Horror that was flipped off of Thrasios. Like they're going to turn, play a Soul Ring, figure out what to bounce, probably a Roger, and we're going to make pretty close here to, yeah, we'll have infinite colored and colorless mana here. Bounce the Soul Ring with the 1 from the Monk's Amber, bounce the Roger. To make infinite colorless, or correction, infinite colored for all of the effects. So a lot to be done here. I'm not sure where, if our players are able to interact, I'm not sure where that would happen. So we'll have to see. But the Hullbreaker Horror does present a win that we have. First win attempt of the game, truly. I mean, Tivit in itself is sort of a win attempt in the ability to get treasures out and get clue tokens, which have the ability to have a ton of artifacts even without time sieve, and be able to manipulate that argument. But Hullbreaker Horror is a true win attempt with Thrasios in play, and now we're seeing sort of unlock the true potential here of this Hullbreaker Horror as we get shown a Pact. And let's see what the Pact is going to do. Pact is able to be paid. There's 7 mana available from the Tivit player. And it looks like the Mox Amber will be packed. That will happen, so we'll have a pack trigger at the next upkeep of our Tivit player. Here's an Enlightened Tutor for Time Sieve at the end step of our bottom right hand player, Thrasios Roger. So it marks the end step. Daryl, our Tivit player, will Enlightened Tutor for that aforementioned Time Sieve. So that should be good. Looks like that Enlightened Tutor will resolve, and I mean, you know, people say not to counter the tutor, but to counter the spell that it gets. So looks like that's going to see play here. We're going to see exactly what's going on with our Tivit players. They're going to go to the next turn, but they're going to have to tap 5 mana in order to pay for the Pact. So blue plus 3. So we're going to go Ancient Tomb. Probably all 3 of your base, or all 3 of your dual lands. That'll be it. don't think during the win attempt on Hullbreaker Horror, our Roger Thrass chose one of the modes on Hullbreaker Horror. It does say up to 1, so I missed that. But here on our Tivit player's turn, we're going to go for the win. Here's a time sieve. And we'll see what time sieve wants to do, where we want to go with that. Who is going to be the one to draw out a counterspell? I mean, if there's no counterspell here, this is sort of the end of the game. This is sort of the game plan for Tivit. Grab that time sieve and be able to protect the win, be able to protect Tivit while you go for it. And what looks like that's it. Yep, the time sieve will resolve. We'll take a lot of turns. We'll be swinging a large commander creature at most people for 21 damage. So that'll be it. That'll be our round 4 here from our pod number 6. That'll approve our player, Daryl, our winning player, to 5 points on the tournament. I'm not sure where that will shake out after standings, but we will come to you in a little bit with the standings. Again, this is our round number 4.